this COVID thing was about to smash international travel and basically do a lot of damage. So close the business. It was a hard decision, but it was the right decision because it was embracing reality, embracing the truth that sometimes you don't get to choose the cards you're dealt. You can only choose the way you play them. Hey, good morning. Morning walk episode something. Who cares? Because it is a beautiful day. We're in Bunbury today. We're going to have a bit of a walk around, have a bit of a chat. This place, I've got to admit, has completely blown me away. Only a couple of 100 kilometres south of Perth, but seriously, it's just like paradise. Bunbury was founded by European settlers back in the 1830s, 1836 I think it was. But well before that, there were the local indigenous Noongar people who'd been here for a long, long time, maybe tens of thousands of years, and you can see why, because there's so much abundance here. The natural harbour is home to dolphins and all kinds of fish and food, and in the surrounding areas you've got all sorts of berries and plant-based foods which are incredibly nutritious. So the local indigenous tribes spend a lot of time here, particularly in the summer months when it gets steaming hot. Once it was founded by the Europeans, 1836, eventually started to grow once they connected the railway through to here, and it became an important trading centre because of the natural port that you see right here, Bunbury Bay. And now it's Western Australia's third largest city behind Perth and Mandurah. So it's a pretty important place for the southwest. But for those of us who visit a place like Bunbury, what really makes it special is this bay, Bunbury Bay. And here you'll find populations of wild dolphins. They literally come up to the beach in the morning time, just like Monkey Mire, which is super famous further north. Right here you can do it, and it's in your backyard if you're living in Perth. Otherwise you can jump on a boat and do like a tour to go and swim with the dolphins, which is pretty cool too. The other day I was down at the beach and there's a little kid there in the water, and the water's pretty warm here, but still, after you've been in there for a while, it starts to get a little bit cold. And there's a little kid there who'd been in the water in a tiny little swimming costume, and they were like teeth chattering, super cold. And their mum came down and said, okay, it's time for you to get out of the water. It's clearly really cold. And the kid was like, no, I'm not cold. It's not cold at all. I'm just going to stay here a little bit longer. And this kind of moment of childishness, I suppose, just where, you're enjoying something or you're in the middle of something and you feel like you can delay reality, make reality stop applying to you just by kind of willing it to be that way. And it kind of got me thinking, right, that, it's really hard to admit reality sometimes. It's really hard to admit the truth about a particular situation. Back in March 2019, as COVID was sort of just really ramping up in many parts of the world, probably in the first couple of days of March, we made the decision that we had to close down our business, AIM Overseas. 13-year-old, multi-million dollar annual turnover business, so pretty successful business by all accounts. And we could just see that dark storm clouds were swirling big time. And so it was a shit decision to have to make in some regards, but reality was that this COVID thing was about to smash international travel and basically do a lot of damage. So close the business. It was a hard decision, but it was the right decision because it was embracing reality, embracing the truth that sometimes you don't get to choose the cards you're dealt. You can only choose the way you play them. And you know what? Part of the reason why we've been able to come and do this trip around Australia is because we made that decision really fast. If we'd hung on and pretended that the reality wasn't the reality it really was, I don't know, financially we would have been completely wiped out. By embracing that reality, by being strong in the face of something that was really difficult and we would have probably rather avoided, we were able to give ourselves this opportunity for something completely new and different and extraordinary. But you don't get that if you ignore reality and you're weak facing up to the truth. Maybe it dates this video a little bit, but Donald Trump has just invoked like all of those rioters in the US to basically like attack Congress. Classic example, right, of how somebody's petulance and complete refusal to accept reality can not only lead to bad things, but really clearly demonstrate how it's not strong to ignore reality. It's not strong to pretend that something hasn't happened. In fact, quite the opposite. Those people who can see you for what you are and see your actions for what they are, don't respect you for that weakness, for that petulance of ignoring reality and ignoring the truth. It's much more respectable to embrace what is true and to just own it and live it. Because if we don't, like, all it does is create pain for us. Either pain in the way other people see us, or pain for ourselves because we often know what the truth is. It's just that we don't like to admit it. But this is the present tense. We only get this one chance, right? So we might as well live right now in the moment exactly as it is. How do you do it? How do you actually develop that strength of being able to admit what's true and face up to reality? Well, I really think that it's just like a muscle. You know, the more you work it, the stronger it becomes. And so, you know, when bad situations face you, and you know it's true, you know, simple example, but, you know, when you've said something offensive to somebody, something that's hurt them, and they're upset, like, admit that you're wrong. It's not that hard, is it? If you admit that you're wrong, you've just embraced the truth that you did something wrong. And the more you strengthen that muscle, the easier it becomes. And I guess the other thing is, like, you know, you just can't give a shit how circumstances have come to be, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, we could all be really upset about the fact that this coronavirus thing has come. I could be like devastated that this coronavirus has come and wiped out my business, because before that, life was pretty good. You know, I loved my business and everything was great. But that's just not reality. So you've got to love the process of life. You know, the fact that you don't get to choose the cards that you're dealt. You can only choose the way that you play them. And the more that you just kind of embrace that kind of shit stuff that happens and just shrug your shoulders and say, oh, well, it is what it is. I wouldn't have chosen this, but here we are. Let's just keep going. It's just strengthening that muscle more and more. And bit by bit, you become really strong in facing up for reality.